Hi, happy day. It's Madison with Restorative. I hope you're having a wonderful day and thank you for being here. I wanted to talk about one of the biggest epiphanies I ever had in life, in my long time of life, in my 43 years. Now, this one actually, I think it was about 22, 23, which makes sense now that I think about it. It's actually here, over at, here in Juneau, we have this place called Dye Pack. It's a fish hatchery. And they have done it's a beautiful place. If you're ever here, check it out, of course. But they have, the outside of the hatchery, there's this fish ladder. And in the fish ladder, of course, there's all these salmon. Of course, it's not just king salmon. You've got all sorts, dock salmon, silvers, coho. Anywho, salmon, lots of salmon in these fish ladders, right? And if you're not familiar with the fish ladder, which I hadn't really been until then anyways, and I don't really look at them anymore, but I definitely gained this concept. Okay, so basically a fish ladder is where they'll come in from the open water, what have you, the water, and then they'll make it into this kind of bin, right? But it's like in the water still, and then they have like a hole kind of, or just a line, like it seems like it gets harder, right, to get up the ladder, but stay with me, folks. So anyways, you go to the ladder, you go up the ladder, and it's kind of in them, ingrained in them, right, to go up this ladder, to keep aiming up, like it's their whole thing, right? And so I stood there for a really long time watching this whole system, and I started at the very end, like where they got there, and some of them are, fresh and, ready to go and just going, and some of them were kind of tired, but they knew this, like where they had to be, and they just, and then I watched them in that bin, and then it was like as the water, because the water's always moving, right? So that fluidity is happening all around us, and them specifically in this case. Anywho, so I'm watching, and then these fish are like they're doing everything they can to get up this ladder, this fish ladder. You can Google what a fish ladder is and watch the video, or don't. And so I'm watching, and in this process, as you move up and up and up the ladder, and even early on and way up, these stalls, these bins, these placeholders in the fish ladder were really, really big, and they could be 50, 100 fish deep, just beating the tar out of each other. I mean, there was fish in there that just looked like they'd done seen a few things. Many things. But they were, so it was all this fish, all this deep, and some of them were fine. They were just like, what, I'm chilling, I'm just gonna be here doing my thing. Other ones, you could just see them, they would try, and they'd get beat down, and they'd go back, and anywho, it doesn't get better. Sorry, it's not one of those videos. It is, but it's not right now. Okay, so moving on up the ladder, I saw this in each of the bins, and I'm just gonna make up a number. Imagine per se that there were like 17 particular tanks on their way up the ladder. Okay, and so then, as I would walk up, because you can walk up the different states of these fish's lives, and you could still see the same kind of thing. The tanks had less fish in them the higher they got because it was such a struggle to get up there. But the ones that were up there, they had more room to kind of swim because it wasn't so packed. I hope everybody's with me on this. And so it wasn't so packed, so a little bit more room to swim. And then, of course, when it felt right to them, they could do that jump up. There were still a few that were just like, we made it this far, we made it this far, they just made it this far. They just keep jumping, right? Keep trying, keep working it through. I watched the different energy. Yeah, this was a lot for, I think I was 23 at the time. This was a lot for me at the time. But I was there for probably, I don't even know, a good hour or so, just like taking it all in and just making it way more than it really was, but not really, like actually fully understanding almost everything at that point, right? Okay, so then, so they get up there, they're jumping, and it was like each time one would catch air, you would just almost catch that where they're like, oh, it's just better and better every time we get up this ladder. So, all these fish, like I said, just thousands, I don't know how, I could look it up, but I haven't. I'm sure it's millions of fish each year. These are the hatchery fish, you know, right? Or maybe some of them are wild, but anywho, with that, as I walked up the fish ladder, and you kind of end up going around and up the bridge, and now the bridge, not bridge, but these stairs, and you kind of go up over, yeah, that's a rainbow bridge, all right? You get to that last pool. Again, man, that pool looks really spacious, you know, because fish, there's not, you know, hundreds deep in there. There's maybe a few as they start their, you know, day or whatever. And so when they take that last jump, you can just see they're just like, yeah, this is what it's all about. And then right after that happens, there is somebody at the top of that ladder, that fish ladder, that water ladder. These are water ladders, not ladder ladders. That grabs that fish, conks it on the head, guts it, and that's that. Like I said, it was a lot for me to take in. I'm sharing that with you. I'm sharing that with you because it was very much after that moment in my life that I was like, I'm a wild salmon. And I want to be a wild salmon. And I had no idea what that meant to me particularly. But I'll tell you, no, I'm not saying there's a good way or a bad way or a certain way of life equals this or that. I'm telling you, like, internally, like, what you feel and what makes you feel like you're living almost as authentically as possible regardless, right? Because that fish ladder taught me so much, right? Like, we're all, I mean, inevitably, right? Like, we're all going, trying to go up-ish, or, you know, whatever your divine feelings are. Like, I full on, like, I want the love and light. Like, I want to beam everybody. I want people that do bad stuff or think bad things or try to manipulate people. I wish that something so freaking wonderful would happen to them. They would just stop and they would just be like, oh, so this is how. Just kidding. You know, switching teams. Not everybody's good or bad. We're all in between. Like, gosh, I have my good and bad stuff, thoughts, things I do too, but on the whole, like, team, like, let's let love win for frick's sake. Yeah. Thumbs today, kids. That fish ladder was a really big turning point in my life. You know, only to come find out within the last, you know, couple months or so, just learning things in history, about life and the way that it works, or not. I mean, at this point, I feel like my favorite, like, little saying to get me through is like, noodles, no noodles. or whatever. Noodle, don't noodle. It doesn't, I don't know. You know, with that though, my point is there is something to be said about that wild rarity that you are so hopefully enjoying to your life. Now, doesn't mean there will be crazy things that happen when you're a wild salmon, or that you probably shouldn't wear a helmet, or you but I mean, like, in my ways, I would say is after seeing that and just feeling like no matter what, I would be okay. And I always feel that for the most part, I gotta say, like, every time I look back at life and I'm like, or in a moment where I'm worried that I won't make the right choice, or I wouldn't do the right thing or show up for myself, I look back and I'm like, well, when didn't I before? Never. But I think it's different when you have to put in your own work, right? Because you're like, well, I'm the one that's got to do this, so you have to go through whatever process that is, right? But back to the salmon and the wild and the rarity and that, like, that's it, right? The divine, what they say, comedy of life, the divine adventure that you go on. It's really that, like, what it meant for me after seeing that, after really spending that time, you know, watching the salmon ladder and just really taking that in. I started saying yes to a lot of things that I might not have been so ready to do. I actually sold my house. I mean, this was like, what, 22, 23? I was like 23, 24. Sold my house, left a career. If I thought about it too, if I had stayed with the state government, like, I'd be retiring soon. Like, tier 2. But instead, I went and I married someone that was my best friend at the time. I did that. I said yes to that. That didn't work out, but it was great, and we're still friends, and I adore his wife. I just like that, right? I love his family. Same with the other ex before that. Like, the whole family is still in my heart. And then after that, I said yes to partnering in a company and helping to run a site there in a totally different state across the country. I said yes to that. I moved there with like 3 suitcases. I said yes to that, and I had a blast. Life adventures, like, come on, I was what, 28 years old, and like 20, yeah, at that point in Wisconsin, I was like 27, 28 years old. Saying yes to that, and then when that was ending, and I knew that I didn't want to be cold anymore. Funny story about that, how I ended up home in Alaska, huh? After that shifted and I had the opportunity, I said yes to myself about wanting to move to Florida. I had a blast in Florida. I moved there, I didn't know anybody, but I saw that beach and I felt Panama City Beach in my, like, being, and I lived there for almost 6 years. I said yes to that. And then when another opportunity came to, like, stay in alignment with my life, but also move somewhere new and have my own kind of like market, my own world that I could create partnerships with again and learn more about myself, I said yes. I said yes. And then when that was done, and I could have stayed there or gone back to Florida, I had support and love and trust. I saw myself moving a different direction towards, like, coaching and communication and wanting to just, like, really go that way. So I wanted to start Madison Fix. I said yes to myself. Now, then I ended up going and staying with my grandma for a while and making the most out of that. I said yes to helping her like remodel her house. That's where I found like the Shasta stuff. And I said yes to remodeling that and deciding to go across country. Because I was never scared, and I've never been scared of living my life and saying yes. Now, this last Wile E. Coyote got me pretty good with the bus and stuff after saying yes to that adventure. It doesn't mean that I didn't stop saying yes. It means that, like, I've said yes to a lot of amazing things, and I've had a wonderful time doing that, and I'm not done with saying yes and learning my adventures and my life's journey and growing through all that. But it's okay to know that even when you're a wild salmon or not, like, this is the way I think of it, right? You're out there, everything you say yes to isn't gonna always be that yes to adventure. There's gonna be tons of no's in betweens and redirections and regroupings and just kidding, or wow, I'm so thankful that I had that time. There's so much that we are going to grow through. There's gonna be times where we say yes when we shouldn't, when we knew we shouldn't. Just thought of like 3, it's fine. It's fine. Or no, when we want to say yes. And I want to say something too about that, because communication is just it's null and void in so many ways on some of the most biggest life-changing things for all of us, right? And then we get subject to what we perceive, or worst word, assume. When we use our throat and our voice and our truth, and I'm seeing it with clients, I can already tell you, like, I've been so proud. I've got like 3 of them that I literally was just like, wow, I just heard boundaries out of your mouth in the best way, and you look so whole and strong to your core. Everybody has this opportunity to strengthen their being with that. It's like that helmet, like fluffing your aura, like all that, like that helmet we need as these like wild salmon out there swimming in alignment with our core being. There were every different kind of fishes in those ladders. There's every different kind of us, and there's room for all of us too. It's the biggest, gosh, what are we at, galaxies now? We're just cruising the universe. People just launching at their will. Remember that, and have your life. And I'm not saying every fish in that ladder had some like bunk life. It's just where they ended up, and that's just how it kind of went down with them. But it doesn't have to be. We can be and are. I see it everywhere. People are blowing my mind with the way that they're expressing themselves, sharing their love and passion for what they do, making this world a better place constantly. I did, well, I'll share this part a little bit. I heard this one. I read this article, and it was about how, there's this talk about stuff called like respawning, or shifting, and it's like, it does pertain to, I think, suicide awareness, and they talk about respawning as in you end your life. Oh, I didn't think I was gonna do this. Okay. They talk about respawning, like, as if you end your life and then you just come back, like you reincarnate. I read it was like in the New York Times, like this whole thing. Or shifting, or people not being interested in this world right now, which I get it. I want to share something about that. To everybody that's here right now, You're here because we need you. Something that helps me when I feel like I've had like a tough day and I'm just like, why in the world do you need me here, Lord? This is a big job. I say this. I am so grateful for everything in my life, and I appreciate so much everyone and everything. And if there's something that I still need to do tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but if there's something I still need to do here, I'll just wake up in the morning and know. And I think it's really important to remember, if you're here, you're needed. And whatever that looks like for you, you might not see it today or tomorrow or in 5 years or whatever, but when I look at my life and I look at all the things that I said yes to, like yes to starting restorative, yes to, gosh, just so many yeses, in between tons of millions of no's. No's I tell myself, oh my gosh, I'm the biggest blocker of my own stuff sometimes, but I'm aware of it. I try to be. It's just important for you to keep swimming, keep showing up, forgive others. That helps your water be a little bit more calmer, I think. Forgive others and love yourself. I really appreciate your time today. I really wanted to talk about the wild salmon and the fish ladder. Say yes. Embrace some no's. Say yes. And enjoy the adventure. I love you. Take care of each other. I appreciate you. I'll see you again soon. Bye.